Good morning, friends. Welcome to God's Grace on Thee and Angel Wallace Productions. Today is Saturday. It is 6:46 a.m. Today's the 28th of September of 2024, and it's beautiful sunrise here in Reno, Nevada. So I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and please say prayers for those people that were literally bombarded with the hurricane catastrophe over there, and it's not. I don't know what the end result is because it just hit yesterday, but I know that a lot of people are underwater and a lot of people don't have electricity. So please keep them in your prayers, as always. Okay, so let's dive into the Cry of the Phoenix, and we're on chapter 17. Recording to Hatton, Sunday, December the 24th, 1989, 3:45 p.m., Year 3, Day 130. An International Economic Order. You will find that a unified world economic system is vital for the victory of international socialism. Stalin declared long ago. Today the Soviets say, in a socialist society, the national or global economy is an integral organism directed by a single will. Thus, a top cartel priority is continued development of a single global economic system which can facilitate socialist world order. The economic component of the plan is advancing rapidly. As Richard Falk celebrates in a study of future worlds, the entire world economy will be an integrated whole in the 1990s. The United Nations provides a framework for a global monetary system which links nations of the world with the cartel's most powerful global financial institutions, including the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Please, I urge you once to get Spacegate, Spiral to Economic Disaster, and Privacy in a Fishbowl. Now, Business Week has described the cartel's supernatural financial network as a vast integrated global money and capital system. Billions of euro dollars, euro marks, and other stateless currencies hurtling around the world 24 hours a day. Now, this system will soon evolve into a global monetary dictatorship. Cartel theoretician Richard Cooper outlined the future when he said, I suggest a radical alternative scheme for the next century, the creation of a common currency for all of the industrial democracies. But a single currency is possible only if there is in effect a single monetary policy and a single authority issuing the currency and directing the monetary policy. Well, how can independent states accomplish that? They need to turn over the determination of monetary policy to a supranational body. Cartel master planners call the evolving global monetary system the new international economic order, in honor of the United Nations Declaration of the Establishment of the New Economic Order. Now, this declaration, adopted by the UN General Assembly in 1974, calls for government seizure, nationalization of private businesses. It also mandates construction of a gigantic global welfare system to transfer wealth from producing nations to poor nations, i.e., those with systems so corrupt or inefficient that they cannot produce for themselves. And one prominent world order propagandist explains the NIEO document. That's the New International Economic Order. That's the New International Economic Order, NIEO. The NIEO document calls for a dramatic and painful change. Painful to those countries and companies who are profiting from the present system. Well, these reforms could mean that citizens of the wealthy countries will have to pay more for imported products, as they have for oil. And it could mean that manufacturing employment would rise in the poor countries while falling in the rich countries. In other words, it would mean more inflation and fewer jobs in countries like the United States. Couched in this phony altruism is the cartel's master plan for expanding multinational corporate profits by charging the rich nations more for imported products while transferring industry to the poor nations where cheap labor can be exploited. The planners at the World Order Models Project naturally propose a Marxist system of global wealth redistribution which will equalize the economic status of most global citizens. And Richard Gardner vociferates, in the next several years, the United States and other industrial countries, in their enlightened self-interest, should commit themselves to a number of measures to assist the economic development of the developing countries. More multilateral aid, more market access for developing countries, exports, and more transfer of technology, a world food reserve. Now, Ronald Reagan's 1988 call for the U.S. aid to rebuild Afghanistan for the Soviet puppet government there epitomizes the cartel's NIEO designs. America's compulsory march into feudal poverty as her taxpayers are bled dry to support third world dictators was applauded by a 1984 campaign brochure released by Walter Mondale and Geraldine Ferraro. And it stated, "A new international economic order must be established which will fundamentally change the distribution and nature of world production. And we recognize that this will mean some sacrifice by the rich, but we believe that we cannot continue to use economic growth to increase consumption and our material standard of living. Instead, we must work for a new lifestyle which will allow resources to be transferred and returned to the poor nations." In calling for sacrifice by the rich is cartel jargon for imposing increasingly confiscatory taxation, not on millionaire collectivists like Walter Mondale or Doug Dillon and Armand Hammer, but on the bourgeois, the middle class America. Americans' nomenclatura will retain its unfathomable wealth in the socialist New World Order. But confiscation of wealth earned by Middle America is vital for bringing all nations under a global socialist system. And Lenin explained, the more backward in the country, the more difficult it is for her to pass from the old capitalist relations to socialist relations. And Stalin pontificated, it is essential that the triumphant proletariat of the advanced countries should render aid, real and prolonged aid, to the toiling masses of the backward nationalists, and that it should help them to rise to a higher state of development and to catch up with more advanced nationalities. Unless such aid is forthcoming, it will be impossible to bring about the peaceful coexistence and fraternal collaboration of the toilers of the various nations and peoples within a single world economic system that are so essential for the final triumph of socialism. Now, WAMP planners call for a global taxing authority, which will harness all global citizens to the great yoke of world government. Now, such a system is in the works. Americans who have contributed untold billions of tax dollars to the United Nations are already saddled with a national debt in the trillions, yet this burden is only the first fruits of the plan. The Beast. Dr. Carol Quigley demonstrated in Tragedy and Hope that the cartel's dynastic families have controlled the central banks of the world for generations. Possibly the most fascinating aspect of the cartels evolving a global economic systems is the international network of computer and telecommunication centers systems, which link central banks of the world to the Society for Worldwide Interbanks Financial Transactions, SWIFT, based in Belgium. SWIFT's financial wizards are rapidly assembling a global financial order based on credit cards, electromagnetic funds transfer, and point-of-sale computer terminals. This system is designed to eliminate most personal cash transactions by the year 2000. A global cashless monetary system will be extremely valuable to the cartel because it will permit the central guidance system to collect reliable and up-to-date personal information on each global citizen. Detailed computer transaction sheets will enable world order surveillance specialists to monitor the net worth, tax liability, personal tastes, political and religious affiliation, and even the whereabouts of each global citizen. The cartel's capacity to process and store information of this kind is astounding. In the 1970s, a Canadian computer scientist stunned the world when he said of the 3-story computer dubbed the Beast in Brussels, Belgium. You and I are tied into this computer by one or more keys: our social security number, our driver license number, our birth certificate, our passport number, and whatever credit cards we use. Every move you have made and every penny you have paid to the Internal Revenue each year is all on record. Now, I remind you, good buddies, the final link of the massive Star Wars satellite system will be totally operational within 2 weeks. That was what SDI was all about, and billions upon billions of dollars have been diverted from projects like Stealth, etc. You slept while they set the trap. And since the above information came to light, the cartel's beast, comprising the largest computer complex in the world, has now expanded to Luxembourg. Now, this gigantic apparatus, capable of numbering every person on Earth, ties in with the European Common Market, CLUCELAS, which is rapidly amalgamating the various trade and monetary systems of Western European nations in preparation for the larger global unification project. To make the cashless global monetary system a foolproof surveillance vehicle, the cartel must ultimately, 1, assign every global citizen a personal identification number so that each financial transaction recorded by the central computer can be linked to an individual by his number. 2, imprint his personal identification number in the flesh of each citizen with either a microchip implant or a laser tattoo, so that ID cannot be lost, stolen, or faked. Well, the National Disseminated Senior Scholastic magazine explained to American students the cartel's ultimate design. All buying and selling in the program will be done by computer. No currency, no change, no checks. In the program, people would receive a number that had been assigned them tattooed in their wrist or forehead. The number is put on by a laser beam and cannot be felt. The number in the body is not seen with the naked eye and is as permanent as your fingerprints. All items of consumer goods will be marked with a computer mark. The computer outlet in the store, which picks up the number in the person's body and automatically totals the price and deducts the amount from the person's special drawing rights account. For some unexplained reason, numerous components of the cartel's supranational economic system consistently employ patterns of triple sixes. An example is the Universal Product Code developed by corporate America. This code is a square of numbers and symbols which a clerk passes across a laser scanner when you purchase a consumer item. Researcher Dr. Mary Relf spent thousands of dollars investigating the origin and development of the Universal Product Code, and she discovered that whatever the code design, it is invariably built upon a framework of 3 code bars presenting the number 6. She also found that the 3 6 bars are generally the only bars in the code not assigned cardinal numbers. Now, this suggests that the originators of the code may wish to obscure the 666 basis of the universal coding system. The cartel may be a bit paranoid that citizens might somehow connect its 666 system with the global dictatorship described in the Bible. Slated to arise shortly before the return of Jesus the Christ, this dictatorship is described by John the Revelator as a beast. And John said the beast would be enormously anti-Christian and said it would kill citizens who refuse to cooperate with, i.e., worship the system. Now John prophesied, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. The cartel's central apparatus for its global monetary system is the World Bank, an agency for the United Nations. And by some odd coincidence, the World Bank code number is 666. The Bible bears witness that the global monetary dictatorship of the beast will ultimately become a nightmare for everyone because it is sponsored by Satan himself. Therefore, Christians are absolutely forbidden to accept in their flesh the mark of the beast. Now, John warned, "If any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation." Well, it is going to take some clever maneuvering indeed, for you are already listed in the system. So be it. We shall just tread along on the eggshells as long as we can. New IRS requirements are augmenting the assignation of a Social Security number to nearly everyone in the United States, even tiny babes. This is significant because a citizen's Social Security ID number is the number of his name. An American can conduct almost no important financial transactions without reporting the number of his name. Unless he presents his Social Security number, an American cannot work for mainstream employers, receive government benefits, file an income tax return, or obtain insurance or get a bank loan. Is any of this ringing in your head? Are you picking up some clues? Do you begin to see how a corporation of unknown ownership in Nevada can help you? Dear ones, the options will be so few indeed. The technology for both laser tattooing and microchip implanting is now well advanced. And when the global monetary system makes it mandatory for every citizen to have the number of his name imprinted into his flesh, he will comply or he will be completely cut off. He will have to barter with like-minded people to survive in meager circumstances. And in most cases, he will probably forfeit his job and or retirement benefits. If he is in debt, he will likely lose his home or other tangible assets, and such will be the power of the beast in his zenith. Yet those who allow themselves to be branded by the beast will also suffer horribly. There will apparently be some type of health risk, possibly connected to laser radiation used to scan the number in the flesh. And John said, "And there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image." Could this mean logo? The Bible declares that those who knowingly accept the mark of the beast are symbolically worshiping Satan and his plan. Therefore, these people will suffer spiritually. John described their terrible reward, and the smoke of their torment ascendeth up ever and ever. And they have no rest day or night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Because the plan is unleashing rapid, radical change in America. It would be advisable for you, dear reader, if you have not already done so, to obtain a copy of the Bible and study the book of Revelation, chapters 1 through 22. The time is speedily approaching when you will necessarily make choices that will greatly impact your future, both in this life and the next. Before you make decisions of such magnitude, why not use the sacred record to examine at close range the origin and the motives of the beast? Dharma, let us bring this to a close for this segment. I see that you are most fatigued for such a long day. If you are fresh enough to work later this night, we shall attempt it. If not, then take your rest on this, your Christmas Eve. The glory shall be unto you once, chelas, who labor long in the Father's vineyards. In love and deepest appreciation, I move to stand by. I am ever in thy service. Salut, salut, salut. Hat on to clear frequency, please.